So the new Woodruff Key, what we've done with the old one. It probably didn't need replacing, but I thought I may as well. So one end is completely flat, one end is almost tapered. So it's the taper end that you need to put in first. Next is the crank pulley. No, actually, first, before I do the crank pulley, I'm just going to carry on cleaning around the bottom there. So with this area now cleaned up, I also removed the outlet, inlet, don't know, can't remember, that goes to the heater hose and the bottom of the radiator hose. So just clean that up, clean the gasket, old gasket off. The oven's been replaced, so this can now be fed through, and the bottom pulley and water pump can now go on. Before I put this on, I'm just going to clean up the rust that's on the inside, just to make it a little bit more presentable. Right, so with the water neck fitted, it's time to move on to the water pump. So on the very top edge of the water pump is a black seal. There's two cutouts on the seal to match the casting on the water pump. So you've got a small cut on the very end, and then a slightly larger one this end, so it can only go in one way. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of Holomar Blue to the surface, put the gasket on, a little bit more sealant, and then it's ready to go onto the engine. Make it too much, I don't know. Can you have too much sealant? I don't know. So I'm just going to wipe off the impellers. Well, it's a bit messy. Gasket. Here. Make sure that this top seal doesn't fall off. So. A little bit of a squeeze. You have to sort of tuck it up underneath this plate first, and then the bottom pushes in. So now to just refit the 4 bolts, refit the 2 12mm bolts on the water outlet, and that bit is good to go. So I had a little bit of a setback trying to put this back on, and with the power steering pump bolted up onto the bracket, there just ain't a lot of room to get access, and I think the bolt was on a slight angle, and I started to cross thread the water pump. So then I had to get some tap and die set, because I'm not at home, I'm using a friend's garage, so had to go and get them. Move this out of the way, gave me a bit more room, and I've now re-tapped threads. Luckily the bottom one was okay, the top one was the worst one, that's where you can get access to, and that's now gone on fine. So the heater hose outlet's now been pushed in, bottom radiator hose is on but not the clamp yet, so I'll just now go refit or reattach the power steering pump, and then I can finally get on with fitting the timer belt. So next up is the thermostat. So I've already cleaned up the mating face for the gasket. Just the new one there. Need to find the nut from the bottom, and that's all good to go. Next, it's time to install the idler pulley. Has to be torqued down to 50 millimeters. And time to the tensioner. So you got one little lug that the tensioner spring sits on, and then another lug with a hole. The hole goes on a little dowel just down here. Just going to nip it up for now because we still want the tensioner to move backwards and forwards, ready to tension the candle. Next is the tensioner spring. So we need to push the tensioner all the way over and lock it in and capture. Now for the belt. Now the gate one is directional. So on the left here, you can see an arrow facing this way. So we'll start with the bottom pulley. going to refit the faceplate and pulley on the bottom just to keep it together. I think normally this faceplate comes off separately to the main pulley, but for some reason mine's attached and I don't fancy splitting it, so we'll go on one. I did a crank bolt, so I might as well use that as well. Right, so you need to keep the tension tight around this idler pulley, then up onto the belt, the exhaust cam. So then grab some cable ties. There we go, so at least that side is on and that shouldn't come off. So then same again with the other side. This has gone over a tooth, so I need to take this off again to move it. So with the belt on this way, you can put it around this tension pulley and then pull it over, it'll be quite tight. And then once you've done that, if you slacken this bolt, the tension will then take up the slack and then you can nip it back up again. So go ahead and cut these cable ties without cutting the belt. There seems to be quite a lot of deflection. Don't know what's going on there. This ain't gone to plan. Turns out I hadn't slackened the bolt enough to take up the rest of the slack, so that's now a lot better. You can count the very top teeth either side. I think there's 19 teeth, so I'll just check that. Right, just need to take off the locking tool and turn it over, and I'll do 2 revolutions and hopefully these markers will line up still. And if they do, then we are good to go. I'll make sure it's out of gear, just remembered. Right, it's out of gear, locking tool is off. This crank bolt may try to turn on a bit more. One. That's 2. Yep, markers are on, they line up. Let's do it again. Yep, line up. Winner. So once you're happy with everything, it's time to torque the bottom crank bolt to 160 Newton meters. Go for the long socket. So with the belt now tensioned, I've checked it several times because being the first time doing this, I'm a bit weary and paranoid. So there's 19 teeth, 2 rotations, all three marks line up. So that should be good to go. Bottom crank pulley's now torqued, and I suppose it's just refitting all the covers and whatnot and belts, and yeah, we should be good to go. So it's just a reversal of what I've just done. So I won't film this bit because this video is probably long enough with me waffling on and whatnot. So yeah, she'll see you in a bit.